And we're live. Welcome back to LOOPcast. Today it's Tom and Erica. You get LOOPcast Light. We have a fantastic Friday show prepared for you. We got some Trump dates, as I'm calling them. 2 executive orders yesterday could affect your 401k, and also some action about the crime-riddled DC hellscape, I believe. I can't remember the exact words that Trump used, but it was pretty crazy, specifically with youth crime. So some interesting updates on the federal action there in DC and disputes over crime statistics. We have India responding to tariffs in a really interesting way. I got Erica on the case on that one. There is a mystery mansion full of surrogacy children that was discovered. So we're also going to get into that. But of course, we have good news. We have Twilight Zone, all that good stuff. It's going to be a very fun show. So thank you all for joining, especially those here live, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Of course, the show is brought to you by The Loop, every American Catholic's favorite morning newsletter. If you haven't subscribed, it's time. Go ahead and subscribe. That's where we get all our information from. But without further ado, if you want to leave us a review, that would help us out. But I say we get into it. It's going to be a great show. Erica, how are you feeling this lovely Friday?
I'm pumped. I am moments away, hours away from vacation. So,
all right, you got to get it all in the tank before Josh takes over.
I know, yeah. So I'm going to get all my thoughts in today, and then you all can just revel in Josh rants next week. Pogo can revel too.
Well, I'll try my best. Yeah. I often revel. Here we go. So first headline today, we have Trump announces federal law enforcement will patrol D.C. The move comes one day after the president threatened to take over the city's police force. Sounds a little like Gotham City, but it is a little Gotham City in D.C. As crazy as that is.
The stats are awful.
It's bad. The move comes as after we announced, here's Caroline Levitt about it. Washington, D.C. is an amazing city, but it has been plagued by violent crime for far too long. President Trump has directed an increased presence of federal law enforcement to protect innocent citizens. Starting tonight, there will be no safe harbor for violent criminals in D.C. This actually was somewhat of a follow-up of an executive order earlier, I believe in March, about beautifying D.C.
Right.
We have this weird situation where D.C. is not a state. So they obviously have a relationship with the federal government, but they retain some control over, there's a mayor, Muriel Bowser, how they conduct their business, and specifically law enforcement has been in the spotlight, especially after this event. So some of you may know him by his nickname, Big Balls, but his actual name, and I think it's worth saying because it was such a crazy incident, is Edward Korestein. Mm-hmm. And the story here is he was in D.C., not a rough part of D.C., by the way, I believe with a girlfriend.
Yeah, it was just above DuPont Circle, so it should have been perfectly safe.
Right, should have been is the key word. So he's with his girlfriend, and there was a group of 10 youths. I think they were saying like 14, 15, and 16-year-olds that came up to him, talked about taking his car. He shoves his girlfriend into the car and tries to fight off 10 of these kids. Obviously, you see the picture here, beaten, bloody, bruised up. And there was a patrol car that came around and ended up breaking it up. I think they only have gotten 3 of the 10 kids, but really bad. And this kind of sparked it was a true social post from Trump. We got to take care of this issue. What are we doing here? Why is DC so nasty, ugly, crime-rated? This youth crime is especially prevalent. Muriel Bowser has actually specifically addressed it, I think, with a task force. So everyone kind of agrees that there's an odd strain of under 18 crime. A couple different reasons for that. And one thing I want to bring up too, there's disputes over crime statistics. DC is coming out and saying we've had our lowest, it's 20, 30% lower than before. And I personally rely on homicide statistics as more of a reliable indicator of crime because there's a lot of argument right now about crime being reclassified. So for example, say assault with a weapon is going to be downgraded so that it doesn't get caught under certain statistics. The thing with homicides is there's a body, there's a body.
You killed somebody, right?
It's kind of hard to deny that.
What it is.
And so just some statistics to kind of further prove the problem here. Last year, DC ranked 4th on most homicides per capita. That's unfortunately behind my beloved Detroit, but Detroit has a problem too. And then this youth violence problem's especially bad. The Attorney General to DC talks about this often. 500,000 cases of youth violence. This is up from 140,000 4 years ago. Many are talking about this light sentencing phenomenon too. Less than 2% of people carrying a pistol without a license went to prison in 2018 to 2022, despite 80% of homicides coming from firearms. So I don't think even Muriel Bowser has been kind of mum on this because I think she acknowledges that there's a problem here as well. And so I thought it was interesting, and this is probably where Josh would chime in. the legal basis for a potential federal takeover in the DC police lies in the District of Columbia's Home Rule Act of 1973, which grants DC limited self-governance but reserves certain federal powers. A key provision allows president to assume temporary control over MPD under special conditions on an emergency nature deemed necessary for federal purposes. This process is as follows. The president can direct DC mayor to provide MPD services for federal use for an initial 48 hours. And then this control can be extended for up to 30 days with written notification to Congress specifying the reasons and duration. So August 7th, you get that. I believe this morning as well. There's interesting video too.
Yeah, I was watching reports this morning from outside Union Station where most people, like I've come in and out of there, dozens and dozens of times. And so the last few years, it's been just, outside the station covered with vagrancy, smells like pot. This morning, the video footage from the local news stations was just like totally cleared out, police cars parked everywhere. So something got done in just the last couple of days for sure. Someone in the chat mentioned too the issue with the youth violence, with it being 14, 15, 16-year-olds in these gangs, these kind of roving gangs that Trump alluded to and that attacked Mr. Big Balls there, is that when they actually get to court, because they're minors, they don't have to be treated as adults. So a lot of them, instead of going to prison for these offenses, it's aimed at rehabilitation, right? So there might be some kind of juvenile detention, but it's always aimed at getting them back out into the street. So repeat offenses are also sky high in DC. Real problem, real terrible issue.
For those curious, like what it would look like.
Police
news coverage this morning.
President Trump, it's not a secret how he feels about violence in the city, and it's resulted in this. We are outside of Union Station this morning because the White House says you can now expect to see more police presence in touristy areas of D.C. In fact, there were several things announced by the White House yesterday. Check it out. For the next 7 days, and potentially longer than that, you can expect to see federal officers in marked units patrolling what the Trump administration is calling high-traffic tourist areas and other hotspots. We are not sure exactly what those hotspots are. The increase in law enforcement presence is supposed to start each night at midnight. We are talking quite a few agencies here, guys, just to name a few of them. Metro Transit Police, Amtrak Police, U.S. Capitol Police, the DEA, and the FBI. Look.
Quite a few.
Yeah. And someone else was saying, like, look, any blue city is dealing with this. So yeah, you think of other cities with the high crime rates right now, New York City, Detroit, Los Angeles, this. And so the question then is, well, the Democratic Party, blue progressivism, has been in control in these places for decades and decades. Why is the crime so high? Well, there's more people for sure. But also we think of the last 5 years in the defund the police movement, and the sort of looking at crime as not the perpetrator's fault, but them as victims of a system, right? Of a racist system or an oppressive system that causes these, these behaviors that need to be somehow given therapy and sent back out into the community. So it's a conglomeration of a lot of different things.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for better initiatives for rehabilitation. Like, you won't catch me against that. But I see especially this is an odd case where the nation of the capital of our nation is not a safe place even for staffers at the administration. Is so embarrassing to me. Like, I just saw a left-wing commentator went to Japan and was like, wow, my visit to Japan really has made me rethink a lot of things that, we struggle with in America. Like, everyone was so orderly and kind, and there's no weed smells and like yada, yada, yada. And I was like, I hate to tell it to you, but there's some reasons for that include law and order. Like, yes, there's a cultural thing there for sure. But, and then it always cracks me up, you get Gavin Newsom cleared out LA for Xi Jinping coming through.
San Francisco, right? Yeah.
And again, this goes back on a philosophical
can be done.
It can be done. It always has been able to be done, but you're not worthy of having that done for you, especially if you live in our nation's capital. So this to me, no brainer, and hopefully, like, it's just kind of embarrassing on our nation that
it
DC
is a little
so
embarrassing.
Dangerous. Like,
I have a personal interest in it too. I have a child studying in DC this coming semester, and so I saw this headline. I was like, yes. just get whatever needs to be in there to clean up the streets a little bit more, make it safer, because we should be able to visit our nation's capital. Like, we should be able to go to the monuments and see the sites and visit the historical places. This is our city. It's not Mayor Bowser's city. It's not BLM's city.
Yeah, dare I say
clean
you
it
should
up.
be able to visit any major city in America without feeling like
Yeah,
you're
I'll
gonna be
start with the
shot?
capital, but eventually I'd like to get to that point too.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sick.
Yeah.
Okay, next one on the Trump days,
Okay.
we're gonna keep going through. Guaranteed fair banking for all Americans.
Yes.
This is something that we know very personally here at a Catholic organization. So interesting. They were saying, specifically citing in this executive order, that they suggested that such institutions flag individuals who made transactions related to companies like Cabela's and Bass Pro Shops, and who made peer-to-peer
Dick's Sporting
payments
Goods.
that
Yeah.
involve terms like Trump or MAGA. This isn't new to people in the conservative world. Basically what happens is that, JP Morgan, whatever large banking institution, says, okay, all of a sudden we're going to freeze your account. Why is that? We just deem that it's too risky or whatever. And then there's a long drawn out lawsuit spanning a course of years, and maybe you end up winning at the end. But of course, the process is the punishment.
Exactly.
And whatever you're trying to do has been frozen for a couple of years because you can't access your own funds that you put in this bank. I was going back through the history on this. We have Christian nonprofit in Memphis, Indigenous Advanced Ministries. We have the Timothy II Project International, Sam Brownback National Committee for Religious Freedom. The Ruth Institute, I think, was a cornerstone one. That's Catholic organization defending traditional values, debanked allegedly for a conservative stance on marriage. Early case cited in 2025 as evidence of ongoing anti-Christian bias. In 2017, Moms for Liberty, another prominent example of this, debanked. And then, of course, Donald Trump himself and the Trump organization, after years and years and years and years and years, I can't imagine how many billions of dollars he's had in the banking system. All of a sudden, hey, we don't want to do business with you anymore, probably because you're running for office.
Right. Yeah, no, this is insane. And I think too, I think back to, we covered this on Wednesday with the representative from Texas who fled to another state because, gerrymandering, and it's the end of democracy. And she's like, and I'll liken this to the Holocaust. This is like, they're coming for you. And just the absolute parallel universe that she is living in to be able to say something like this when this practice has been going on. And this wasn't even necessarily like government persecution of Americans. This is banking systems, so in the private sector, deciding who and who is not worthy of managing their own finances freely. And some people are criticizing this, saying, private organizations should be able to do business with whoever they want to. And you guys are all like, oh, Jacques the cake guy doesn't have to bake the cake for the gay people, but the banks have to, like, but the point is that when it comes to something like the entire these giant financial institutions, this is the case that Trump's making, that these huge banking systems, it's essentially an infrastructure. It's about economic freedom for individuals and for anyone, that it shouldn't matter what your politics are. You should be able to access the infrastructure of the financial system that allows you to participate in free society. And so I think it's absolutely right. I'm not a libertarian when it comes to this kind of thing, like, at all. And
well, part of the problem too, and there's an economist, Richard Werner, addresses this too. Like, the ideal situation would be in America. His observation on strong economies is that they have tons of local banks, so smaller banks all over the country, as many as possible, because he puts forward the credit creation theory of banking as opposed to fractional reserve or just a store of value. Basically saying banks are essential in strong, flourishing middle-class type economies because they offer people lines of credit. And without credit, you don't have the opportunity to start a business, to invest in your local community. And so the problem is, and there's a lot of incentive to flatten a lot of these smaller banks into larger banks. The one threat that we're addressing here is they could decide who is worthy or not worthy of getting credit in this country. And if they decide that Christians or people of conservative bend are not worthy of said credit, the type of businesses that get created are not friendly to those people. So it's a much larger issue, and if nothing less than just bringing this to people's attention of like, hey, we're not going to tolerate this. I think this is a huge positive. If a small gesture, but a good gesture, because I remember when the bankers the Canadian truckers had all of their money frozen, and
Right.
Venmo was going after them and everything like that. And oh no, but Trump administration would never go after anything like that. It's like,
right. Who's
or
the
people saying
fascist?
the
I'm
bot-
not.
yeah, exactly. It's it depends on the day, apparently.
It does. It does depend on the day.
So I thought that was an interesting executive order. The second one involved in this too was democratizing access to alternative assets for 401k investments. Now, this one will
Yeah,
be a
you
little
got to
bit
walk me
financial.
through this one.
This one will be a little bit financial. I thought this one was interesting. Signed an executive order yesterday instructing the Department of Labor to review its guidance on historically riskier investment markets like private equity, real estate, and crypto for employers and retirement plan administrators. So it won't impact your retirement account dashboard directly, but it will urge the Labor Department and other government agencies to make it easier for your nest egg to include alternative assets. As of right now, no law prohibits employers and plan sponsors from offering these kinds of assets, but they are required to act as fiduciaries, meaning they have a legal and ethical duty to protect investors. So the interesting thing on this is most people's 401ks are extremely conservative, rightfully so. This is planning for retirement. And because a lot of these people don't want to get sued for being bad fiduciaries. So all these new assets are typically stayed away from because they come with higher fees than traditional index funds or public markets, and they offer less transparency, are often reserved for sovereign wealth funds and the super rich. But this is a $2.2 trillion market to tap into. So financial advisors are kind of divided on this. Some are happy to have more opportunities for diversification, and others are like, well, I'm just going to do index funds anyway. Like, it's too risky. Many have been calling for this kind of deregulation. I think it's good. Just my cursory read, not expert, because I am so suspicious of trusts that if there's not true competition or alternatives due to dumb regulatory type stuff, like, it just keeps all the power in the hands of the people before. So like a lot of other things, Trump is really a change agent in that regard and opens the doors to a lot of things. I think especially because of the type of persecution his own family has undergone. I've heard, Don Jr. talk about like all these places I used to bank with and all these places that I used to go for, told me no as soon as my dad ran for office. And this is a family that contributed to the New York City skyline.
Or like you have 20 days to move all your assets out of our stuff. And you're like, wait,
right. What are we talking about? Like we worked together for 20 years.
Right.
So that's why all the crypto stuff is enticing to me because it breaks the previous barriers of the power holders. Now, actually crypto is an exciting asset to me in a lot of ways, especially Bitcoin, because I feel like there's less opportunity to actually create inflation. And inflation is just like, they're like, oh, we're not going to tax you more. But, going out to eat now is going to cost like 50% more than it did 4 years ago. It's not like I personally have experienced that ever before.
Right. The hidden tax.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's crazy how expensive stuff is, like, especially in the last 4 years.
It's nuts. Yeah. I did one of those, like, the TikTok trends or something. I'm not on TikTok, but it is a trend where you go back like to 2020 and pull up your Walmart order for 35 items. And then you pull up your Walmart order yesterday. It's real, guys. It's so depressing. It's like 125% increase. And
it's unbelievable. And there's nothing you can do about it. Like, even when we're talking about inflation, it's like, oh, we're targeting 2%. As in 2% growth from where we were every time. So it's like, it's not even like it's going negative. It's just going to keep going up. And then the question is, do wages keep up? And the answer is no. They have not kept up. So I was like, oh, we're getting squeezed. That's how you get rid of a middle class. So I don't really know the answer to that, but
I think this is part of the whole like deregulation and try something, allow people to try new things. I'm a fan of this as well. It'll be interesting. I would like to talk to an actual financial advisor since I don't have enough wealth to manage. I don't have like a regular line into anyone, but I could probably call the Cunninghams and ask them, what do you think?
What they got to say, the Cunningham boys. Okay, Erica. All right. Well, actually, before we get into that, already people in the chat is clamoring over your latest deep.
Oh yeah. Have more babies before you're ready. Yeah.
Of course, a dumb YouTube ad that I gotta wait through, but
super fun. No, this was a really fun one to do because I felt like I got to get a little personal. Go for it. Parents Magazine article on things to consider before having a baby, I saw this exhausting list of must-haves that honestly would scare any sane person away from procreating. Before you can make that baby, you must research all available artificial technologies in case you can't do it the natural way. Make sure you have at least $22,000 in discretionary spending. Negotiate parental leave because, of course, you also have an established job at which you've been working long enough to negotiate anything. Get those mental health checks, because if you're not crazy now, you will be. Enroll in couples therapy, an ounce of prevention being worth a pound of cure. Write out self-care plans for each partner. Create a discipline plan for the child who's not even conceived yet. Optimize your living space, aka nursery decor. Interview daycares and schools, and maybe even reserve your potential tot a space. Research all available artificial birth control options for once the baby arrives, so you can just go through it all again before even thinking about trying for a boy. It's a wonder we have even a 1.2 birth rate per woman. The list goes on.
Fact.
It was super fun. I love that one. Get to talk about how kids are great. And I did absolutely zero of those things before we started having babies.
I was like, no wonder you got...
It's great. Yeah.
Oh, it is funny looking from the other side of the fence on that. Like,
it is.
I shared a picture of my daughter smiling from this morning and me just completely passed on the couch.
Yeah, it was a great photo.
Cup of coffee in my hand. And,
the baby was like, "Good morning, Dad. Hello, world." And Tom's like passed out. That's great. That's parenting.
Would not trade it for the world.
But that being said, someone left a comment on the video that I was like, that's true. She said, as a mom of 5, I get way more sleep than I did as a mom of 1 and 2. Because you're in the thick of it, Pogo. You are in, this is like ground zero. Everything has been blown up in your life. You've got to, you're gonna go to 3, God willing, and then it'll be even worse for
zone defense.
Years. Yeah, zone defense. But then after that, like, you start to have help. The kids get a little more helpful. And I have 7 kids, but I get.
Didn't you have one drop out off a cup of coffee this morning?
I did. Yes. My shout out to my 17-year-old. She surprised me. I was having a hard time. Like, the day before vacation, it's hard to get going, right? Because you're kind of already checked out mentally. So she went off and bought me coffee and brought it to me without being asked.
Fire me up. Fire me up.
Yeah,
Dude, Mark in the chat. This is after you take 10 years to get engaged.
Oh gosh, I know. We have a few things backwards.
Episode.
A few things backwards.
How society scares you out of getting engaged and therefore married.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Erica, so I put your journalistic talents to work. India is really digging in on tariffs. I would like to hear all of the details.
Okay, the gory details. So everyone remembers we had Liberation Day. And I was using ChatGPT 5 this morning because it just rolled out to try and do this. And I have to say, I had to pull teeth. I kept putting in Liberation Day and it came back. It was like, there's no such thing as Liberation Day. What do you mean? Is this some quirky conservative podcaster term? I'm like, I sent it 3 links to the New York Times. Trump's Liberation Day, March 2nd. 2025. He kicks things off with India at 27% reciprocal tariff on a wide swath of Indian goods, autos, pharmaceuticals, IT hardware, machinery, basically targeting everything in March. India and says, okay, we're going to have these, 6 weeks, 70 days of negotiations. We're going to get to something. India, unlike some of our other partners, has not been so willing to come to the table. And so in the last week, on August 1st, he upped that ante with a 25% tariff across the board. And he flagged it particularly as a penalty for India increasing its Russian oil purchases. So India says, we still need this cheap oil to meet the energy needs of our economy. We have over 1 billion people. It's the most populous country in the world. We have to have this oil. It comes right over the Hindu Kush. But Trump's like, no, you got to stop funding Russia's war on Ukraine. This is ridiculous. So he escalates it. He does another 50% on the top on Wednesday, specifically on textiles and gems and jewelry. Tariffs surged up to 50% there. That's $10 billion in business with us. Auto components, smartphones, and pharmaceuticals, with a couple of exemptions for big investments by Apple, because America, and we don't want Apple going back to China. Energy and renewable.
Apple threw down like what, 800 billion or something crazy. They were going to invest in. I think he gave him like a gold-plated case or something like that.
Yeah.
They really
came to the White
Apple.
House with gold. They were like, "Oh, Ottoman Trump, we bring you gold."
Please don't tariff me in India.
Everyone is coming to the White House with gold, and they're going to use it to plate the new ballroom. All of the cornices will be plated in this gold from Apple. But anyway, so India's not happy, but they are digging in. We got this quote from the former envoy to the World Trade Organization. Quote, Anjali Prasad said, "If we have to take a strong stand, then we must walk out of the bilateral trade negotiations." So threats to walk out. There's a big conference coming up with a trade organization called the Quad, and Trump was set to attend with India. I think it's India, Japan, the United States, and Australia, I think, is the fourth one. Doesn't seem like it's going to happen at this point. India called the additional tariffs that dropped on Wednesday unfair, unjustified, and unreasonable, pointing out that it was being punished for doing something, purchasing Russian oil, that other nations have done. Did not mention any names, but we think they mean China and Turkey. Modi, if you want to pull up this amazing graphic. I've been watching subtitled Indian local news, trying to get the inside. It's very different from ours. But he said he's doing this to protect the farmers, and he is ready to pay any price, including a personal political price. He said the interests of farmers are the top national priority. India will never compromise on the interests of farmers, livestock holders, and fishermen. I know I'll have to pay the price for it personally, but I'm ready to do it for the farmers. A lot of farmers in India. It's not precisely what's being targeted here by the Trump administration, but that's how he's going to pitch it.
Well, the oil, like if oil prices were to go up a lot, it would impact farmers quite a bit.
Yeah, that's what exactly. There you go. Thank you. Russia is the source of almost half of the oil imports for India.
Yeah.
So if they stop buying Russian oil cold turkey, it's going to have massive implications on the entire economy.
Yeah.
Previous India-U.S. relations before this, which has considerably chilled them, have been described mostly as, I would say, friendly but not close. So considered an ally, they're considered part of our resistance in the region to Chinese encroachment. So an important ally in that sense, but never chummy. It's not like, oh, they're our greatest ally in the region. Not even close. Who loses? India loses a lot on this. Higher tariffs will probably cut over $86 billion. Will cut into $86 billion in exports to the United States by as much as half, according to the Global Trade Research Initiative. The United States is India's biggest trading partner. So from their point of view, massive blow. Exports to the U.S. are 20% of their economy. And India, from our point of view, it's 10th on the list in terms of trade partners and goods from us. So Trump is in the driver's seat here. India very upset, digging in their heels. So it'll be really interesting to see how this plays out in the next couple of days. But the first wave of tariffs went into effect yesterday.
Very interesting.
They're feeling it. They're feeling it over there, but they're still buying the Russian oil. And a lot of this is Trump just losing patience with Putin in the way that the Russia-Ukraine war is going. And so really amping it up. We see it in the tariffs on India and other countries that support or buy from Russia. Also seeing it in that really bizarre move last weekend where Trump said, "Oh, I've moved nuclear submarines into closer positions to Moscow." You're like, oh. I guess we're getting serious here.
Yeah.
Yep. Buckling down on Russia.
Throw it out there. All right. Moving into some international good news.
Yes. This was great. So my good news today is also international. Poland swore in its based president, super Catholic. Before he gets on the day of his swearing in, Polish president, is it Naraki? I can't say his first name. He
Carol?
makes thank you. He makes a pilgrimage to Yasna Gora, which is the home of the icon of Our Lady of Czestochowa. This is like the central place of Polish Catholicism. It's a long history. This icon has been around for thousands of years. There's a story that it was actually St. Luke painted it on the table boards as he sat and talked to our Blessed Mother about. That's hagiography, but it's a long and storied history called the Black Madonna. There is a scar on her cheek, actually, from when invaders into Poland attacked the shrine, slashed her cheek. Still there, you can see it. I actually made a pilgrimage here, my husband and I, on our honeymoon, and it's an amazing place, but super symbolic that the new Polish president would begin his presidency here. Very JP2 vibes going on. And there's a really neat mass video too. They had a holy mass. And of course, no one does Western liturgy like the Poles.
Poland is so sick.
Yeah, like look
Poland
at the flags. This is medieval. Like this is
so
what medieval
cool.
Europe would have looked like with the color and it's beautiful. Less electric lighting, but yeah.
So sick.
And all of the anti-white Christian nationalists went berserk. They're like, Poland is fallen.
If you thought Sydney
like,
Sweeney was bad,
Poland has rediscovered its identity. Let's go.
Wait, okay. This is gonna sound dumb because I've known and appreciated.
There are no dumb questions, Pogo, because Josh isn't here.
Why is Poland so Catholic again?
Why is Poland so Catholic? Okay, so Poland's, I'm going to get the dates wrong and people are just going to kill me. So Queen Jadwiga was sort of like, she's the saint and she's a saint. She's buried in Krakow. I'm going to find out what year she was. Thank you very much. So the Poles are, yes. So she reigned in the 1300s and she was the first woman crowned as the monarch of Poland. She and her husband really solidified Roman Catholicism there because Poland's unique among Eastern European countries in terms of, not having a church that either went national like the Ukrainian church or Russian or Greek Orthodox, right? So Poland, I mean, just a history of great saints, of union with Rome. The Dominicans have a very long history there. And of course, the Dominicans being very connected with Rome. But also, I think it's a nation of martyrs, right? It's right between Germany and Russia. It's been run over time and time again. And so when the Poles, as they're being conquered and freed and conquered and freed through the last 1500 years of history, what they had to hold on to in terms of their culture and their national identity was their faith. So Catholicism was the constant thread for them as governments are changing and armies are coming across and they're being devastated again and again. And so it's a history of suffering, but in that suffering really digging into Catholicism as the root of their national identity. So that would be my short answer.
That's awesome. Love to see it.
Love it.
Shout out to my Poles. I love Polish churches. I think they're gorgeous. They're
so beautiful. And yeah, if anyone can ever get to Poland and make that pilgrimage, walk from Krakow to Częstochowa, it's life-changing. It's very beautiful.
Tom in the Wild.
Tom in the Wild.
I'm in Poland. Okay. My good news is we found a new way to explain to cosmopolitan liberals why mass migration is a bad idea.
Yes, I volunteer.
So what's your take?
Every transplant should have to volunteer somewhere.
100% agree. I like that.
Everyone should volunteer, but transplants need to put down roots. They need to get to know their community.
Are you a transplant?
Yes.
And you volunteer?
Yes. I volunteer for Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Me too.
Not to brag.
I did it for the first 5 years.
You were a big? Isn't it so fun to be a big?
Yes.
We actually need a lot of male
I think
bigs
that this
right
this is great because transplants have a bad reputation.
Right. We need to clean up our reputation.
I feel like I'm taking so much. I'd like to give some back.
That's what I'm saying, is that it's like, okay, you moved to New York, you think New York is the best city in the world. Name one thing you've ever done to make it that way.
Except for pay taxes.
Except for pay taxes, but if the only thing you're contributing is your taxes, you are ultimately a loser.
I like it. I can do this.
I think it's a fantastic idea.
So wait, what's a transplant? Is that like code speak for something? Does that just mean illegal migrant or
No.
migrant? What's transplant?
Okay, so it's a little bit of background of this video because I
Okay.
can't stop laughing at it.
Give me the Gen Z lingo, please.
This is a show that actually Kamala Harris performed so poorly on that they could not release the episode, but it's called Subway Takes, and it's this guy with a Subway card and just interviews people. It's like, what's your take? And so this lady, Macy, her take was that if you're a transplant, and so the way basically this tweet says, trying to explain to a rootless cosmopolitan liberal why mass immigration is bad by rebranding it as, quote, transplants causing gentrification by displacing legacy legacy residents. It's the new. It's like we have an in. We can now understand. We can explain to someone why maybe people would be frustrated if people. And then she's like, "Oh, if you only pay taxes, you're a loser." We have people in this country that don't pay taxes.
Right. Or what if you don't even pay taxes?
You don't even pay taxes. And I'm like, I don't want to. First off, let me just get this out of the way.
Okay.
People that immigrate to this country legally and they do contribute to their communities. I'm not demonizing all immigrants, but I would just like to especially pick a bone with the people that say no one is illegal. Everyone basically has a God-given right to live in this country and to not pay taxes and not be a part of anything. And you can just come and you can do whatever you want because it's the land of free. Because aren't we all immigrants, right? And therefore you can get cities that are in all Arabic or in all Spanish, and there's no attempts to actually take part in what was the American culture that made this place a place you'd want to immigrate to. And we're seeing examples, say Mexico City now, very frustrated as well that you have rich people coming there and expecting them to speak English, not attempting to learn Spanish, not taking part in the local community, not taking part in the culture.
Volunteering.
And that's acceptable, right? For everywhere except America, apparently. And the only way to get through to these kind of people that have these beliefs, or at least post them online, is to explain it in the form of a transplant to New York City. We found it. We've got her in. Gentrifying transplants. Awesome. Listen, everything she said I think is fantastic advice. I think it should apply to America and to other cities as well. So it's just common sense. I would like to get rid of all of the rhetoric saying you should come here at any time for any reason, and anyone that stops that is xenophobic racist. I think we're all there.
I love this. And this is the art of rhetoric, because it understood rightly. This isn't just like trying to manipulate her, like try to get her to, show her how stupid she is, but it's to like find the in. What can she identify with? And what does she love? What does she hate? And then try to like translate it into those. I love this. This is a great in.
That's why I have it in the good news, not Twilight Zone. I think this is fantastic. We're getting through to people.
This is good.
Through.
That was good news.
Thank you.
Let's do it.
Okay, C Block, Erica, I don't even know where to begin with this article. There was a mansion in LA, 22 babies were discovered in.
So this is in the like I told you so kind of category. People were like, "Oh, you're always preaching slippery slope, and you guys just need to settle down." And surrogacy is just a way to build families, right? It's not a big deal. IVF is just a great way to build families, and it's all about poor people who just can't have. And so we should all pay for it too. Okay, this is what we're talking about with slippery slope. This story actually dropped in May, and it is just now getting noticed by mainstream media on like page 7, whereas it should have been top story in May. But here we go. Police were investigating a suspected child abuse case at this huge Arcadia mansion outside of LA, and they found 15 children under age 3 with their nannies in this mansion. 6 more children were later discovered at other locations throughout the LA area. This is the couple who are the parents of all 22 children. That's Sylvia Zhang on the right. She's 38, and Go Junjuan, 65. And the birth certificates, it's all legal. They are the parents. Now, how did they get to 22 children when they only got married 2 years ago? Well, they were born across the United States from different surrogates. Here's a picture of the legal mother with one of the surrogate mothers as she's saying goodbye to the child she carried for 9 months. Zhang, Sylvia, the mother, she created this organization called Mark Surrogacy. And they would go on Facebook and recruit women from all over the United States and pay them to carry babies conceived through egg sperm donation agency. And they would tell the women that these babies were going to families where there was 1 or no children. Sylvia would say that she was infertile, although she'd already had children, and they paid tens of thousands of dollars to these women. And here you can see the post on Facebook from Mark Surrogacy's page. All right, one example. January 2024, a woman named Kayla Elliott, who's profiled in the story, she was contacted by Mark Surrogacy via the Facebook group, and she checked them out. It seemed like the public filings were all in place in California, and Zhang was the manager. And so Elliot was sent a parent profile that said a couple was seeking surrogacy because they had one daughter but were unable to conceive again after 10 attempts. They wanted to hire her to bear a child for them, which is just, even saying that out loud is disgusting. It turned out to be a surrogacy scam. Investigators say involved people from around the country carrying embryos for the couple all at the same time. Elliot gave birth. She gave the child over and then realizes it's a scam. Now that baby is in foster care in California, and Elliot, the birth mother, is fighting to gain custody of that baby so she can now raise it herself. She's been talking to the FBI, the Los Angeles field office, and yeah.
I'm sorry. So,
Yeah.
so they profiled one of these women. What did she think it was getting into this? That it was.
Yeah. So she was told that this was going to a couple that had contracted with Mark Surrogacy, and they had one child, but they wanted a second child, and they were unable to conceive themselves after 10 tries. So they were hiring a surrogate to bear them a child.
So she wasn't told that it was the Asian couple that.
No. In fact, it was the Asian couple who was taking the child. And it was all done legally because there's almost no regulation of the surrogacy industry. So that child is legally the child in California.
So did they bust up? How did they end up in foster care though? Because didn't this Asian couple, they just wanted to, they claimed they wanted
a large family.
Right. So how did they end up in foster care?
So they ended up in because of child welfare concerns. There was a call to the police saying, hey, there's a lot of babies there, and we think we've seen like some weird behavior with the nannies. So they go in and they have children who are malnourished, obviously ill-treated. They see security camera footage of nannies shaking the babies or slapping the children. And so they take the kids out of there. But again, there is no legal recourse for these children other than they were abused by their legal parents because this industry is so sick and messed up. So now they're all in foster care.
So what is the Asian couple being charged by CPS? Like for
they were under arrest. They were under arrest for 4 days, but they were actually released without charges. The nannies were the ones who were implicated in the child abuse.
Are these American citizens, by the way, or are they?
That is so they both moved here from China at different times. I was unable to verify their immigration status.
My goodness.
Yeah, it is crazy. Not only that, but there are women. There were
Chinese-born man, a Chinese-born man and woman living in a mansion that said they were the parents of 22 children. But yeah, I guess to your point, they were born all over the U.S.
Yes.
One after
and there
another.
were still, at the time that this was exposed, there were still multiple women pregnant with more children for them.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What?
So the investigation, this is from the police. The investigation is ongoing. Possible child abuse and trafficking charges pending. But again, this was May, and they're still out there on the loose. This was
What would you possibly do at 24?
Babies under the age of 3? Hire nannies.
Hire nannies, I guess, but like, isn't this textbook trafficking? Like you would think these kids are going to get
their
sent
contention
somewhere.
is that they had no intention of selling the children, and you're like,
well, yeah, I guess I bet they're going to say that to try to avoid it. This is like hard to wrap my mind around. So,
yeah,
but this highlighting, of course, that there's no safeguards to something like this happening.
That it is absolutely highlighting that because again, everything was done legally. There could be some kind of business fraud, like they said one thing about the profiles for the women on Facebook, so maybe they can have a business fraud and shut down Mark Surrogacy. But in terms of what happens to the kids, legally they are the children of these two people.
Could we like Al Capone them, like get them on like a tax charge or something? I mean, this is
that's why I'm thinking business fraud. But again, like this cannot go on. Surrogacy has to be stopped
Something's got to happen, man.
years ago. Like it's yesterday. It needs to be just shut down. Yeah, it was.
What?
The,
I mean, like can we all just call it like it's child trafficking?
yes.
It's
Yeah,
either,
even
like,
if you're not selling the children, if you're procuring 24 children under the age of 3 for yourself by buying them and growing them as women.
So the reasons in which one would use surrogacy. One, if you're like a celebrity and you don't want to ruin like you want to have it's cosmetic reasons, which is insane and terrible and commodifies the mom too, who's carrying the insane, terrible dystopian.
Don't get me started.
2, people that can't by nature be fertile, who then end up with a kid because they feel entitled to it.
Gay couples.
Right. So also terrible.
Yeah.
And then the third would be this type of trafficking operation.
Yeah.
In what scenario would surrogacy ever be actually acceptable?
Yeah. The most sympathetic case scenario that I've seen, that you'll see on, actually, I've been on several surrogacy websites this morning trying to understand like how is this not trafficking in their minds? The most Tom's gone. The most sympathetic that I can come up with is if for some reason a woman's body like could not survive pregnancy or childbirth, she and her husband want to have a biological child, and so they do IVF. A surrogate bears the child. Because the woman just for some reason cannot do pregnancy and childbirth, like she has a blood clotting disorder, or that would be like the most sympathetic case that I was able to come up with in trying to understand what's the mentality here. But always there is the assumption that if you want to have a child, you have a right to that child. That is always the baseline assumption. And that is simply not true. No one has a right to any child. No one has a...
I'm all for solving the birth problem here in this country in the West. This is not how I want to do it.
This is not... Manufacturing babies to be orphans is not solving the birth problem. No.
No, thank you.
Right.
No.
Absolutely.
And people are all mad at Trump for... They're saying he betrayed him on IVF. Like, because I don't think they're pushing for Medicaid to cover. I think that was the latest.
Yeah, so there were rumors. Yeah, we covered this on Monday with Tom, because he kind of has Tom McCluskey, of course, the good-looking one.
Tinfoil.
He has like an insight. Tinfoil Tom.
Happy birthday, by the way. It was his birthday yesterday.
Yeah, August recess, Tom. Happy birthday. And he was saying that the rumors coming out of the Washington Post are definitely unconfirmed that Trump is walking away. We'll probably learn more in September.
Sure hope so.
Once Congress
reconvenes. It obviously leads to stuff like this. I mean, how could we ever...
Yeah, case in point. Case in point. And don't let anyone ever tell you that you're crazy for being like, what if gay marriage led to thruples, or what if doing IVF led to child trafficking and surrogacy? Because it's happening, people.
Yeah.
It's not a slippery slope, fear-mongering, tinfoil Tom conspiracy theory.
Yeah, it's almost as if it is a slippery slope, and there's things that we shouldn't be doing for the betterment of society and individuals.
Yep.
Okay, Erica, Twilight Zone, what you got?
Okay. So when did The Passion of the Christ come out? I think it was the year I got married, right? So it's like 2003. So this is a while ago. We're talking over 20 years of waiting. And we have The Passion of the Christ, and now Mel Gibson has set a date for himself. We have the Resurrection of the Christ.
See what you got, Mel.
Two parts. So we've got Easter Sunday 2027 will be part 1, and Ascension Thursday 2027. So he has a deadline. And am I enthusiastic? I'm cautiously enthusiastic, because it has been a while, and Mel is known for making promises and not meeting deadlines. But wouldn't this be cool? This would be, I want to see what he's come up with.
Listen, I now have developed a particular attachment to The Chosen. So is there like beef now? Like do I have to pick a side, and who's going to be protected? I think we could just be fired up on everyone, right?
Yeah, I think we can be fired up for everybody. I have never seen Jim Caviezel as like a competitor with Jonathan Rumi. It's kind of like saying, okay, like, is Caravaggio a competitor with, I'm trying to think of an artist who would be comparable with like 2000s TV shows.
This is a very Erica analogy.
Yeah,
we need like a sports analogy that would make
Mel
sense.
Mel Gibson is painting Caravaggios. Dallas Jenkins is painting I won't go there. I'm going to get in trouble for what I'm thinking.
You better chill out.
I'm going to get in big trouble.
Oh man, yeah.
We love the chosen.
Listen. All good portrayals of Jesus in Medium, I'm for sure.
Yes. And there are multiple ways.
Marcus brings up a great point in the chat. Mel has fallen prey to the whole part 1, part 2 thing.
No.
Hate that.
Just make it one.
Just make
exactly.
it one.
It's like if you can't get it done in 2 hours, like breaking it up into the part 1, part 2.
Or be honest enough to make it a limited series. Like I actually don't have a problem with a limited series. If
I
you
love
advertise as such, just say, hey, we couldn't get it all in the one. We're going to do a limited series. It's going to be 6 parts or whatever.
Yeah.
The movie, no, I'm out on it. You got to tell it in like an hour in each part. And then, yeah, I hate that.
Yeah, no, I think part of the art form is the time limitation. Like, you got to get it done. Come on, Mel. Yeah. Then again, who am I to criticize Mel Gibson?
That's totally a fair point.
Braveheart, The Patriot, and I'm like, Mel, I think you could.
Totally a fair
maybe
point.
I should just back off on Mel.
Maybe we chill out on Mel. He's so funny in interviews, though. He's I
love watching him.
If nothing else,
Joe Rogan, that was hilarious.
An entertaining interview. You know what I mean? Not known for being shy, or which I love. He just shoots it out there.
Yeah.
Wait, Mel Gibson was not involved in Lord of the Rings.
No.
Okay.
No. Lord of the Rings had 3 parts though. But in Lord of the Rings, the way that Peter Jackson did Lord of the Rings, I wouldn't like see it as 3 parts of one movie. I would see it's like they each correspond to one book, right? Because we have the 3 books. So Lord of the Rings, slightly different. Yeah. Mark. Talking to Mark.
Yeah, this is where I say the line. I've never seen Lord of the Rings. And that always makes people angry. And so therefore I keep saying it and refuse to watch because it makes people mad.
Which is funny though, because in the next episode of The Deep next week, so if you're not subscribed to LOOPcast, you need to subscribe right now so you don't miss this one. We talk about Sam and Frodo and is all male friendship gay?
Who?
Sam. No, you brought up Sam and Frodo. Don't give me that.
No, wait.
Yeah, you're like,
wait, no, it's because I just knew they were short kings.
They are short kings. They're very short.
So that's what I knew.
Tom's a hobbit.
I don't know if I go that far. That's something Josh would say. And Josh is gone. Maybe we bring that kind of energy. I have a good one. I thought a very interesting study was done by this guy. Well, actually, no. I'm not sure if he did the study. It was an Understanding America study. Maybe he was. But the guy who posted it was John Byrne Murdoch over the Financial Times. It's a question about our personalities changing over the course of, I believe he has 2012 to 2024. And a couple of the things that were highlighted in this study were conscientiousness, neuroticism, agreeableness, and extroversion over different age groups. So they had age 60 plus all the way down to 16 to 39. And I think I went through his definition of conscientiousness was dependability, I believe. It was dependability and one other thing. And like I think like follow through, essentially. Long-term goals over short-term goals. And for those in the video, you can kind of see here. But conscientiousness, particularly for 16 to 39-year-olds, has not fared well from 2012 to 2024, down quite significantly, I believe under 30% here now in 2024. Neuroticism, on the other hand, is way up for my cohort, 16 to 39, way up than it was in 2012. Agreeableness down pretty significantly, not as significantly, but down for my cohort. And then extroversion down for every group, 2012 to 2014. And I was really interested going through this study. His argument is that the internet, this is around the introduction of the internet, in that we are essentially in an attention economy, and the attention economy has brought us social media, the internet, everything like that, of people constantly fighting for our attention. And so it makes it harder for people to make decisions for the long term on long-term goals other than the short-term goals. I think he brought up the example now with AI going to be accelerating that. So for example, how you use ChatGPT matters. If you use ChatGPT, say, hey, I want you to be a tutor to help me to learn French better, basically. Okay, could be good. But then there's going to be a cohort of people that said, write my essay in French and pass it forward. That would be a good example of people choosing to be conscientious versus not conscientious. And I think about this often, about how like I watch certain people, how they act on Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it. And I know some of these people in real life, and just how the medium impacts how they act and talk. And it turns them into, at least public perception, someone I know them not to be. And so I actually think there is something really to this study about the mediums that we engage in constantly. Their financial incentives are to keep us there as much as possible, and then to lead us down the most extreme versions of what we want, and or what they think that we want.
Right.
And so you get that with agreeableness down, neuroticism up, I think is directly a product of, because we don't engage in shared spaces, whether that be physical, but also in terms of media online, we often aren't even operating off the same facts, because you get pushed down, whatever extreme facts you want to have. And I'm not even saying the facts are wrong in certain cases, but it makes you aware of things you wouldn't be aware of before. I think in some cases good,
Very much. Yeah.
because it's destroying certain conceptions that were just false before. And I'm always for the truth. But I think this all happening at the same time without actual physical spaces to engage in, just because extroversion down everywhere. I think COVID, huge part of that. But then it's just easier to be in digital spaces. I saw there was another article basically blaming Gen Z for the fall of Vegas. And I thought that was hysterical. That
This is why I love Gen Z. Hey, if you bring down Vegas.
Vegas used to be awesome. I was like, I'm sure that
mean-
has nothing to do with the fact that Vegas is insanely expensive right now. And it's not the same as it used to be. And there's also gambling on everyone's phone now that they can do from anywhere.
Yeah.
So like, they're just not going to fly out to Vegas. And I think this is actually a good thing. But anyway, Eric, I was curious if you had any thoughts on this study.
Yeah. No. I think all of this is. Yeah, I was feeling it. Like if I think of this in terms of my own, I'm on the green line, so I'm not as like, nosedive in terms of conscientiousness. But I think looking back the last 10 years of my life and my own engagement with the digital world and social media and being on screens, I can also kind of feel those personality traits change in me. And it happens on a really micro scale too, just day to day, the day when I'm on my phone constantly. It's like an inertia just sets in, and you just like, the more you do it, the more you do it. I do become more irritable. I'm not as likely to put it down by the end of the day and suddenly be really extroverted, especially with my kids. So watching that just on a micro level totally tracks with this. I was really interested. I dug a little deeper into the conscientiousness thing with the young people, and a lot of the traits that go with conscientiousness that you mentioned. This was about self-description that they elicited from the young people. So it was like, do you feel on a scale of 1 to 10, do you strongly agree or strongly disagree? You're a person who makes plans and follows through, and that's where we said no one sees themselves as that kind of person in that youngest cohort. Perseveres until finished. And the way they don't see themselves that way is easily distracted. Yes, I am. Can be careless. Yes, I can be careless. So I found it really interesting, especially that a lot of this was self-reported and self-diagnosis, and how we see ourselves interacting with the world.
It's a terrible 1-2 punch on that point, because simultaneously all your time's being sucked into algorithm feeds. And then at the same time, what are those algorithm feeds feeding you? They're feeding you people more successful than you or more accomplished than you. So your self-perception of your follow-through, of course, is going to be bad, because that's all you see is people that actually follow through and they're doing things that maybe you want to do.
Right.
But you're spending all your time in the same place and they're doing things to try to keep you there. So it's a really nasty 1-2 punch. I'm not surprised that the
algorithm is a nasty thing, right? It feeds into whatever your preconceived like notions are, or what your read on the world is. It's going to keep like compounding that, because it says, oh, you just broke up with a boyfriend and you're really down on men. And you click on like one influencer who's saying, yeah, men suck, we don't need men. And then that like digs you then it feeds you 2 more. And you're like, yeah. And it just, the way that it's designed is to suck you deeper into whatever morass you are. And I think this is why education is so important, that we we make education again about making free men and women, not about like qualifying kids for XYZ job or like getting all the internships to get into Harvard, to get the credentials and then all that. It has to be about growing men and women who are able to see the algorithm for what it is, to see their own behavior, and pull back from those destructive behaviors and interactions with social media. And they're not going to be able to do that if they've just been primed for propaganda through education their whole life. So we got to really think. Yeah.
I'd be curious if you were to apply spirituality to this, like people that would report having a regular prayer life, how they would fare on this.
It would be neat
to me, this is a lot of Matrix type stuff. Like people and people are reporting that they feel like they're in a matrix of some kind.
Yeah, but it's not real. If
you're actually consistently taking time to pray, you leave that matrix by design, elevate your mind to God. Mm-hmm. And then also, so you made the video about having kids before you're ready. I can tell you one way to pretty quickly get out of whatever matrix you got going on.
A newborn baby.
Have a kid, man. Yeah. Have a kid.
That's a lot of touching grass and other nature things.
Yeah, by design. So
true.
True. And then I don't know. Yeah, with doing this, like the cool thing about it is I talked to you and Josh in the way that I would talk to you elsewhere, and it's kind of like coming back from my own little matrix where I found my stuff, and I'm just like, "What'd you guys see?" And then you're like, "No, I got this life experience. I got this." And I'm like, "Okay, that's interesting to kind of temper what I got going on." Try to take the best out of it and leave the worst.
Yeah, like I see that too here, because like I love with the two of you how like you're from a different generation, like you have a totally different coming at it young dad kind of thing, and then Josh is older, he has a lot more experience with politics. Anyway, I think talking to more people who are real people is a great way to get red pilled out of the matrix. But yeah, we watched last night with the teenagers. We watched Sam Altman's sort of like presentation on ChatGPT 5.
On 5,
and it was so scripted, and like these guys.
Does any dude look more like the Antichrist than Sam Altman?
I was like, why are we doing it this way? This is so not conversational or anything. My favorite dude, though, one of the guys, I think it was from like maybe Germany, or so, he had a cool accent, but he instead of reading off the teleprompter, he had clearly just like memorized what he wanted to say, except he had bullet points written on his hand right here. And so every few seconds he would look down at his hand. I felt like I was back in like 90s high school. This is what we did. We didn't.
Dude, before ChatGPT could write your essays, you just wrote it on your hand. Yeah,
that guy is not in the Matrix. I'll listen to that one.
You get smudged on your, that's
Don't get too sweaty. You smudge your notes.
But I didn't want to leave us depressed. I found a fun one.
Okay. Give us a good one.
There was, I don't know if you're familiar with Seattle's mascot, the Kraken. And the hockey team took a fly fishing trip to Alaska with this mascot. And anytime my mascots are doing anything and it's funny, that's my favorite type of content. That's what the internet's for. So.
Oh, yeah, I know that mascot.
There's the Kraken. Okay. An actual bear.
Oh, my gosh.
was chasing the Kraken. Yo, there's so many Elvises that kill me, bro. He's in.
The bear thinks it's seafood. It's like
the mascot is in dumbwaiters, which is a hilarious underrated element of this. He's in the fly fishing with the team. He's in dumbwaiters. He's being chased by a real bear.
Oh my gosh!
Now, what did you think being a Kraken meant in going to Alaska? Vibes, papers, essays? No, this is real life.
This is Alaska. This is touching grass, man.
You hear a soft like, "Oh no."
Oh no!
No one was hurt. I want to say, if someone got hurt, this wouldn't be as funny. No
we
one
wouldn't
was
have
hurt.
Played it. Yeah.
The Kraken is okay, I believe.
Oh my gosh!
I really hope so. I think I saw people were saying he's okay. I guess you never know. Matrix and all that.
Is the bear okay?
Hysterical. Yeah, I don't know, man.
No word on the bear.
Alaska is a wild place.
I know. I really want to go to Alaska. It's like going to a foreign country, but it's still America too. That's always a perk.
Like it is like, hey, do you like the night? What if we just did that for 3 days?
Yeah.
Alaska.
Yeah. Or do you like daytime? What if the sun?
3 days. Salmon for you. Do you like grizzly bears?
I love salmon.
For you.
And I do love grizzly bears, just not that close to me.
Shout out to the Alaska listeners. If we have anyone from Alaska, I respect you on a serious level. Okay, good show, guys. Loopcast Light, you know how we do when Josh isn't around. Loopcast Light. I think he can't stay out of the chat, which is amazing. I think.
Wait, is Josh here?
He was. He said he was
No.
driving through the Upper Peninsula.
Oh my gosh.
So hopefully he's not encountering any grizzly
that's
bears.
dedication to you.
I don't think
all.
there's no bears up in the UP. I don't think he should be all right. Josh is probably
I'm
the
pretty
scariest
sure they have
thing.
bears. Yeah,
Josh is
they
the
do.
scariest thing in the UP. So he'll be all
Alright.
right. But thanks for joining us today. If you want to help us out, join the Champions Club. Best way to support us, catholicvote.org/champions. Go check out Erica's The Deep episode. Love those monologues. We're going to keep them coming. And pray for us. Today we have, I believe this is the St. Joseph work prayer composed by Pope Pius X, Beast. So we're going to end with that prayer and send you guys off to a great weekend. In the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. O glorious St. Joseph, model of all those who are devoted to labor, obtain for me the grace to work in a spirit of penance for the expiation of my many sins, to work conscientiously, putting the call of duty above my natural inclinations, to work with thankfulness and joy, considering it an honor to employ and develop by means of labor the gifts received from God, to work with order, peace, moderation, and patience, never shrinking from the weariness and trials, to work above all with purity of intention and detachment from self, keeping unceasingly before my eyes death and the account that I must give of time lost, talents unused, good omitted, and vain complacency and success, so fatal to the work of God. All for Jesus, all through Mary, all after that example, O Patriarch St. Joseph. Such shall be my motto in life and in death. Amen. In the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. St. Thomas More, St. St. Fidelis. St. Tarcisius, my confirmation saint. Fun fact. And Our Lady Guadalupe. Pray for us. Have a great weekend, guys. Erica, have a great vacation. We are going to be back ready to rock on Monday.